In today's rapidly evolving landscape, the demand for impactful green investments has never been more urgent. Our upcoming panel, exploring the ESG-Fintech Nexus, will delve into new fintech services as a dynamic catalyst for enhancing corporate ESG impacts. Please welcome our moderator, Mike Reed, Director of Pelican and Offset Trading.
Hello. Thank you all for coming along on Thursday midday. It's probably missing your lunch, so won't be too long. I thought we'd quickly start with a bit of a show of hands of who the audience is. Could you put your hand up if you're a fintech firm? Okay. What about a broker or represent a broker? Okay. What about marketeers? Okay. And then anyone else and any other sort of classifications? It's really interesting to work out exactly the ESG concept and then obviously how it relates to our audience here. So we can start to make sure that we can give you answers which relate to your industry specifically. But just by way of introduction, my name is Mike Reed. I'll be hosting the panel here. I am one of the stakeholders in a company called Pelican. We are primarily a copy trading system, so we are regulated in the UK and Cyprus, and we provide that to the brokers around the world. But actually, we've launched a product called Offset Trading. And it's a product which is designed for our brokers to take up, which is allowing their users to go on and choose which pledge they should commit trading activity towards, and then the broker then donates it towards that pledge. So it's a product which is a not-for-profit, and I'm actually kind of here to talk to the experts, because these guys are the experts, to get an idea of A, how we can structure our company and probably your companies, and obviously how we can present the product back to the user as well. So I'll just hand over to the other panelists to introduce themselves. So do you want to start with Nicole? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, my name is Nicole Phinopoulou. By profession, I'm a lawyer, a specialized lawyer in banking, corporate, commercial, and financial services. With the expert now, and I'm qualified expert from UK in ESG and sustainable finance as an evolution, which I'll give that to Mike, which is correct. It's all the industries we are here, it's all connected. ESG sounds something new, but you will all be related, I believe, and we will say that as we go through. If it helps, by profession, I'm 23 years lawyer. It's good, I save Botox.
Evdokia, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to see us today. My name is Evdokia. I'm coming from SALVUS Funds. We are a consultancy firm based in Cyprus. We are specialized in licensing, regulatory compliance, internal audits for all verticals of, I would say, financial markets, of investment firms, payments, crypto. And I'm happy to be here today to discuss something new. Something that can be boring or can be something useful for people to see how we will incorporate all of this in the coming years, as the roadmap is quite big.
Excellent, thank you guys. So I'll just start by saying, obviously there may be some ESG experts in here, but ESG obviously stands for environmental impact. So, what are you doing to actually make sure that your company or products you're providing are environmentally friendly? You've got the S, which is obviously social. That's obviously considering the social impact of what you do. And then G stands for the governance. So the corporate governance. Are you managing your company correctly in accordance to a list of criteria? Now, interestingly, there's no clear definition. You've got American firms out there who are creating these criteria with B Corp companies. But it's actually, and the panelists will tell you that there's no key criteria. There's things which you probably should be doing. But it's important to differentiate between the two. It's running your company critically, and it's providing products which are ESG related. So there's two different parts. And obviously one part is how are you operating your company? And the other one is, if you're a broker, for example, are you providing ESG products for your clients to actually utilize? And that's the key part. And we'll look at both those two parts in our limited time. But if we start, I'm just going to open up to the panel to see, who at the moment do you think is driving the interest in ESG? Is it coming from the youth, or do you think it's actually coming from the top?
I can take that on. I will say, first of all, that we have a regulatory framework there, and we have the European deal, which runs for 10 years, I will say a plan now, where we're looking to implement a pipeline of rules in the ESG sector. And the aim is sustainable finance, growth, etc. However, the question is, who started this evolution? In our perspective, we can see that can be driven from the need for new products. So we have new products because we have to market ourselves in another way. The question here in the trap can be, are we going for greenwashing practices, which that's not the aim. Now, we have the legislation and we have the road to go through the coming years for aiming sustainability and also environment saving, climate saving, low carbon and all of that. But the question is, are we adding more compliance rules where nobody actually aims to complete them, just make the paperwork.
Ticking the box, yeah.
Yeah, ticking the box, making the paperwork, but actually the products will not serve this. Or we're actually aiming to do the paperwork, but actually complementing what we're actually writing in our products to actually implement something helpful for the environment, helpful for the social aspect, which is a very big area, and the governance especially, which is having very good organizations and, in a way, compliance.
So are you actually physically making an impact, or actually are you doing it just because it looks quite good?
Yeah.
And that's getting that balance right and actually making sure it's the former, not the latter.
Yeah, so answering the question is, I believe that we are driven from the media, then from the regulation, because we have to do it, but the main question will be, are we ready to implement it?
And regulation-wise, when's that likely to come in, do you think, or when are people starting to have to actually meet these ESG standards?
Regulation is already here.
Okay.
Yes, it's already here.
And that's in Europe, in Cyprus, we're talking across the entire financial network?
And US.
And US.
Okay.
Yes.
And China and India, it's just now, sorry, I want to tell you, it's just as a lawyer, but you covered everything just to see that it's the bits and pieces in everything. Just to go a step back for everybody to know, all this started for ESG, which another name was since 1989, which started from what we know social responsibility, the corporate social responsibility, and now it has changed to sustainability reporting. So this is all the obligations that you have to report. Either it's a product, either it's a company internal thing, governance, transparency, anti-bribery, which is the internal, and then how it goes out, and how the stakeholders see all the investments and what they put the mark up, how to invest or not to invest, or what is the rating they get from the loans. It's a whole cycle and it's closing. It's just now we see it. This is what it goes. Whether someone will comply or not comply, it's the regulator thing, is what Evdokia said. So it comes down to who leads the way. So it's either the management of a company or the government. So it depends who runs the show. So that's what I wanted to say, that I know it may not make more sense at the beginning, but it's something that is started. It has been was started, to be fair. And now it's just you see it more in Europe, the regulatory. Doesn't say you have to comply, but if you are doing it and you want to operate in Europe, you have to comply. We'll say as an example. If you want to be in the US, you say you have to comply with the regulations of US. It doesn't mean that it's ESG. It means that you have to comply with the regulations of United States. You want to trade in China, you have to comply with that. So it depends how you connect everything and how do you want to market something. So ESG is an idea of criteria. It's not an idea, something registered or somewhere defined. Personally, it's not defined. It's just the idea. It's just the criteria and who wants to say what. And also to add it, because, sorry, I'm taking my comment from you this one. Sorry, it's just with the journal, something was not correct, please ask or make any questions you want, is that we're talking about fintech. We have to understand that fintech is just one part of sustainability. It's just one sub-umbrella of the big umbrella. fintech is the general understanding to the professional world, at least the legal. If you come and say, we want advice, we want something, you'll go to Evdokia and you say, I want regulatory. You come to a lawyer and say, to help you, and you say fintech, for them, for us, the professionals, is the performance of financial technology which catches up all the forms using new technology to compare with the traditional financial methods in the delivery of financial services, not everything. So the fintech, specifically for that, there is, at least for Europe, there is definition. It's for financial services. If the fintech, you mean the whole development of software, mobile applications, other payment system directive, or other payments, it maybe fall under another scope. But these are under the ESG umbrella. That falls into the three. So it's just like a big thing, a big pyramid, a big puzzle. You need to find the way to do it, but it's not doable. Of course it's doable. Everything is doable in life. It's just a puzzle.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because let's take an example of a company that goes, look, these ESG rules of the guidance have been around since the 1980s. Everyone's taken them a bit more seriously, and it's probably been led by their audience as well. Certainly, we've been notified that this new generation of young users that come in and go, hey, I actually want this to be a little bit more conscientious towards the environment, towards looking after different types of people in society, et cetera, et cetera. So if a company comes to you, I'm going to start with you, Evdokia. If the company comes to you and says, look, we want to comply, where would you start with them? Would you go and open up the bonnet of the company and say, oh, okay, you need to start with almost a blank canvas? Or is there kind of a checklist that you go through to make sure that they're now doing things which qualifies them in line with sort of the ESG criteria?
I will say that we never go from canvas because we have unoperated firms. So they have already a certain set of regulations in place. So, for example, now we have the ESG rules where they are implemented and they are added in the IFR, the investment firm regulation, for example. So this regulation captures a lot of things there. So one of the things that are implemented and came into force this year are part of the ESG, which means that your products has to be verified that you follow that. A part of this ESG is linked also with product governance. Now, all of those firms, they already have product governance procedures, and they already have their policies in place, etc. So they have to go and review it and revise it according to the criteria. Plus that, they have to comply and add all of this in the onboarding procedure to capture whether the clients are actually interested for the specific products, especially if you are offering portfolio management services. And this is the difficulty for those firms that they are offering those portfolio management services, and they are not kind of aware that they have to capture all of those suitability requirements within the onboarding procedure. So it's not something that you have to do it from scratch, but you have to be aware of it. You have the responsibility to have aware and update your policies. And I will say this is more difficult than starting from scratch. Because if you start from scratch, you go to your advisor and say, okay, let me know what we have to do, and I will tell you what you have to do. From the other hand, if you are already operational, you have to make sure that, this is coming, okay, tell me what to do and what to revise. Additional to that, a very important role now is about the gender equality, which is very difficult. Despite it that in favor or not. We have board of directors, and now we need to ensure we have equality of genders. So all those firms that they are looking for hiring and difficulties for hiring people, they have to ensure that they have in their employment structure, and they are both women. Yeah. And is it easy to find the appropriate talent and tick the box of you have to be women, you have to be good, you have to tick the box of knowing about audits, knowing about the regulations, knowing about everything. And I'm a woman, okay? I'm in favor, of course, of all of that, but we have to make sure to tick the first box that we have knowledge and skills, and then we go to meet the rules of sustainability. And I think the ESG rules, which I believe that will create more issues, especially in the financial sector, than updating my policy and offering a green product. We can do that, and it is.
So actually, the demand for the gender equality on a board is obviously high to get that female sort of percentage in, but then you're saying maybe the supply isn't quite there yet if you're trying to tick all the boxes. And you find that,
which comes first?
Yeah. Yes. Obviously you want to have the best board you possibly got, but obviously you've got to meet the standards. I suppose that for a company coming in, they're trying to look at the ESG format and going, okay, how can I make it work for me? So the company is obviously compliant, but also we perform at the optimal level. And it's obviously trying to work out, because certainly what we're seeing is that they shouldn't be scared of embracing all the concepts, and actually some of them can be used to their advantage.
That is why it's a teamwork.
Yeah.
I fully embrace what was said before by Evdokia, because it is, you see it first on the product. So at the end of the day, is what you sell someone, how you sell it, how you present it, and also what you do inside to see the other application you have and what you are willing to do. So it's a teamwork. It's not one person on. And unfortunately, because it moves fast, the first area to see is the financial services. So I'm going a little bit step back and catching up from one word, Evdokia said, greenwashing.
Okay.
Greenwashing is a very nice word. Just to tell you in bloody what it is for us, the professionals, the lawyers, because we support all the way what Evdokia does, because someone has to go and prove something. You did what was asked you to do it. How you do it? How can I say you didn't do it? Why you didn't do it? Greenwashing is misrepresentation. And always remember, especially for Europe.
Could you just explain what greenwashing is exactly?
Yes, greenwashing was the idea of misrepresentation, which has always been misrepresentation. And never forget, in all markets, we are all consumers.
Okay.
It's consumer-driven, everything. So if you are a consumer, you will buy it. What you wanted to see on a product, either it's a financial product, either it's a car, either it's whatever. Just think like that. ESG, this is what is coming to find out. But with a lot of regulation and all the issues that it was raised by Evdokia, because it's not easy to know everything. It's a teamwork.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, once companies come to you and said, hey, let's do our ECG stuff, and you've gone, great, not a blank canvas, starting from where they've already left off, they start to make themselves more compliant. Is that, obviously, there were some marketeers in the back there going, okay, well, the company can go, great, we're now ESG compliant. They can now use that to their advantage straight away to say, hey, come over here because we're now meeting all the criteria. And is that what we're seeing now in the industry, that actually companies are actually now using it as a really strong marketing plan to go, we've got the tick boxes, we are actually doing it too, but it's very good at attracting the right people.
Yes, it is. Because it was about competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, when we launched this offset trading, I actually picked up one of my flyers, because we were trying to convince our brokers to use it, and they're like, well, why would we use it? Why would we comply? And I was like going through, because what we're trying to do here is create a product which engages with the younger audience. That's what they're struggling with at the moment. A product which actually encourages trade volume. They're driven by that because our product is structured towards going, okay, well, you do more, the broker pays more back to the green pledge. So there are lots of things that actually can be utilised by a marketing team, for example, and at the same time, there's good being done. So it kind of works on almost every level, and it doesn't have to be this sort of scary burden.
Personally, I agree with you. It's just behind the scenes, whatever you do, making sure that it's compliant with what we have now. Yeah. Otherwise, okay, me as a lawyer, I will have a job, and Evdokia will have a job, but please don't get us there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Just do it compliant, please.
So whatever the product is, make sure it's compliant, and everything is done exactly according to...
It doesn't mean everything has to be the same.
Yeah.
You think something, be innovative.
Yeah.
FinTech, be using the technology.
Yeah. So it's making sure you use the right technology, which is compliant, and making sure... And if it is compliant, is it going back to experts like yourselves to make sure it is compliant, or is there some kind of certificate or criteria like a B Corp company listing that gives them some sort of confidence that there isn't?
Unfortunately, there is no certification, anything that we have. And even the regulators, when we go to the regulators, those who are regulated, they will say, because we want clarity, let's say, read the regulation and make the best of your understanding. And then you go through the inspections and through the reviews, and it is down to the regulator to say, you know, we believe you haven't done enough. But the question is, we shouldn't have a kind of a forum from the regulatory perspective to say, give us a guidelines, what you consider compliance. And then you go deeper to the experts to follow the steps and particularly following it.
So once they've got their and they are ESG compliant, you guys, is there an obligation on an annual basis to keep reviewing this and going back to you guys and saying, look, are we still meeting all the guidelines?
All policies has to be reviewed. And if there are material changes, they have to change it. Okay. So it's an ongoing obligation to have it. And you know, we have this certain regulation coming in 1st of January, for example. Since from that day onwards, you have the obligation. Now, since you know that is coming up, you have an obligation to review and prepare to be ready on that particular day. And the question mark is, are you even the past date? Because, you know, I mean, this is one of the vague regulations. It's so difficult to capture it. Okay, we're looking for sustainability, we're looking for accountability, traceability, and growth. Long-term investments. Okay, it's too vague. And sorry for if I want to add more.
No, it's correct. I fully agree with her.
One of the things that I wanted to share here, and maybe I get more of your input and maybe the audience, is about the cryptos. Where with MiCA, we have the requirements of ESG. So they are incorporated. They are already there because it's a new regulation and it's coming up. Okay. So we are now having crypto providers where we are regulating them, etc. And then MiCA will come in. Now the question is, are mining of crypto energy saving? Do they tick this box? No. Essentially, they don't.
No.
So
it's very sort of it's energy intensive, isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
And many of other online kind of production and IT.
And have they got to go back to their energy supplier, check them, check who's provided to them, and then you've got to go all the way back to qualify for their...
It's a domino effect.
Yes.
Exactly.
This is the other thing also, because she said MiCA, and it's good that we have the audience if they want to ask. Actually, I take the opportunity, it's not nice, but next week I will be in Luxembourg, invited by European Union, speaking on sustainable finance in EU. It's been already 3 years we're discussing MiCA. And you can see amongst the 25 member states, there's a fight. How to regulate, what to do what, you never know. So they have the regulation, which is very vague, exactly, and then to find, so you all have to, it's not about fighting with people, but you have to find the way to be able, though that product or that you want to launch to be the first one to be doing it, how you connect it. And okay, I have these obligations, I don't have these obligations. So especially for crypto, it's a huge thing. And
so we may call for a review, or review and revision of this regulation.
This is the discussion next week. So we can have another panel if you want online. You can get your emails. I mean, give it to you, and we can do that.
So it's interesting. So if you've got a crypto company, obviously their obligation is to go and check out the energy provider. If their energy provider doesn't meet the criteria that's required, are we actually seeing them genuinely switch energy provider, going that far down and then having influence on other businesses around them?
It's a management decision.
Yeah, but the product itself is not in favor of the climate, environmental, you know. Yes. So, and the fintech, IT companies and all of that, the consumption that they have in the energy, it's not aligned with the rule of the ESG.
So actually you're saying very few of them would ever meet the ESG criteria because of their energy consumption. That is the one thing.
Speaking, yes. We are honest. We're both honest.
Yeah.
We have nothing to pay.
But how would they resolve that? Would they find energy providers, for example, that are only solar powered, wind powered, and
that's why they find to go, let's go back. The financial service is the transparency they're looking, which is the G of the ESG, the governance. As we go to transparency, to clarity. So it's the whole pyramid of a company. Who manages, who wants to do what. For example, some people, I know companies abroad, because we're having this, is that they say, this is what I'm doing, find people for this, not ESG. They may be ESG, they may have 2 out of the 17, because we have 17 criteria. Others may say, I don't want, I don't care, just disclose it, which is the SFTR, the disclosure regulations. So you have to say to the consumer what you are doing. So it comes down to what is the policy, the internal policy of each company, and how they can support it.
So we're saying it actually takes some pretty strong leadership from the top to go, we need to implement these plans, and by the way, they're going to be a bit disruptive at some points. You know, and actually it is obviously for the greater good, and by the way, we can obviously market this out and different departments will benefit, but actually at points making things changes like different structures.
The markets are not already disrupted?
No,
because of the evolution all the time?
Yeah, no, it's just more of the
too many regulations. There are too many regulations, especially in Europe, where it's very difficult for all participants here to follow them.
Okay.
And then they say, do I need to be in Europe?
Yeah.
Or it's better to be in a country where we have less regulations and less headaches, and actually what I'm looking for, profits. That's the bottom line. No, that's the highest the aim.
So they're going offshore just so they don't have to meet these criteria or even meet these obligations.
Yes. Still, you have the criteria, but as I said at the beginning, you have the criteria or to meet the regulations of where you go. So you have to learn how you go.
What they are locally.
What are you looking. And the other thing, never forget, fintechs, we may say fintechs, it's business.
Yeah.
And business, ultimate goal, as Evdokia said, is the money, the profits.
Yeah.
You have when I say stakeholders, not only the shareholders, it's the employees, it's the people employed there or having the supply chain, it's everybody. It's not, you're not on your own.
Yeah.
It's the bigger thing, but it helps.
That makes sense. I know we've only got 3 minutes left, but I just wondered if we wanted to open up any questions specifically from the experts here. Obviously not including me. Yes, please, far away.
Okay, my name is Angelos. Just from a marketing perspective. So basically, by next July, if I'm not mistaken, we're moving towards a cookieless targeting in terms of advertising. So, and with the AI and going into machine learning and AI, what does a company have to do in order to be compliant? I mean, is it going to change? For sure, it changes the way we're going to follow the user, basically. Yeah, so basically...
So I suppose the question here is that obviously as a marketeer, there are some really useful technological tools that are going to be removed. That makes it a bit of a headache for you guys. But obviously you've got AI that can step in and take over and arguably falls outside the ESG criteria. No. So you're sort of stuck in a bit of a contradiction, aren't you?
Yeah, for example, you can add an email list, for example, to create a similar audience, for example. That's compliant, I guess. I mean, right? Yeah.
Can I answer?
Yeah, sure, please.
Let's start from first point.
Yeah.
This I'm talking as a lawyer, but as I know you will come before to us to tell you. You have GDPR.
Yeah.
Okay. You have digital banking.
Yeah.
You have artificial intelligence directives.
Yeah.
Compliance.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have the obligation of reporting. All these four come under the EU umbrella. So if you are doing this, at least you have a basis, if you are regular compliance, to fight back. But none of us will say to you, you are clear-cut. So you have to go and check every box.
Okay.
So we come back to the boxes.
Yeah.
So it's the puzzle. So it will change. It is changing. So I don't know if this helps.
If I may add here, his question, I think it's more related to GDPR.
Exactly. That's why I started first from GDPR and coming down and just wanted to show that everything's not started. You see what is already applicable. It was the first to be able to go around. It was the first that was not fighted. I'll tell you one example for GDPR. You all have Facebook, right? You all have LinkedIn. Bravo, bravo. Sorry, bravo. Bravo. Instagram, social media. You go on internet. You buy things from internet, whatever. Does it say accept cookies, tick the box, and does not proceed? All this is being there for 15 years, the legislation regulatory. I'm not saying that is right or wrong. I'm just saying that effectively things are there, so we have to adapt. Artificial intelligence is what we know. It's artificial intelligence, and we say it's the computers. Who created the artificial intelligence? The computers, us. So us, we have to keep up. I don't know if it's right or wrong, or the new generations, I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, go on, please.
I have a question. So my name is Christos. I take the point before that you said, Nicole, regarding the cryptos, and and also Evdokia. You mentioned before that a lot of countries in European Union he's fighting each other's. How to manage and regulate this law, MiCA, and I mean to going in the digital area of this. Is my questions and to you and all the audience here, because it's for sure with everybody cares all about that. I mean, you have money now in the bank, and sometimes you don't have euro, let's say for example, you have some digital assets or digital something in your account. Mm-hmm. How do you see them? Is it is real? Did you believe that he managed the European Union, he managed the central banks to do it that? What is your feeling? I mean, what is your feeling? What is your thoughts about that? The
question is whether it will be centralized.
Yeah.
Well, the idea of the crypto on the blockchain is to decentralize everything. However, when we were going to have the introduction of the digital currencies per country, like we have the digital euro, the digital dollar, etc., these will be controlled by the central governments. And this will effectively be centralized again. And it's the question whether this will dominate everything else that they currently are in place at the fluctuations.
To add to this, which is very correct, we have to, I know it's not right or wrong, this is just, fortunately and unfortunately, we're talking about Europe now, but even in the States and everywhere else, it's unions. It's a union. It's not a country. So it depends who is powerful out of the 27, who rolls the dice, who has the power. No matter what, is who has the money. It comes down to tax and who pays the bill. Even the crypto and everything. Something we have in Cyprus and we are now communicating and we're trying to do is to see whether tax, there's a bill now discussing at the parliament in a good way, not in a bad way, about the tax reforms or non-tax reforms, who pays what, because at the end of the day, also you want to know where your assets are. Either it's called crypto, either it's called at the bank, either called at the property or anywhere. So it comes down to who has the control. But crypto is a very big and random thing going on. And the digital area is very good because you can have access everywhere. So, depends. You said you had Instagram only. Now you may have a lot of more others, I don't know.
I'm not against in this technology. I mean, saying
me neither, it's just to have digital, be careful, Ned, be careful.
Yeah, of course, to be careful, but we have also in back of my mind, if the European Union collapses, but we see a lot of things to make it happen on this world for a lot of years. I mean, somebody, did you mention or did you calculate or make the scenario if the European Union collapse, what to do? And what we're doing? We have exit plan.
Once you close the cameras, I can tell you.
Sorry?
A matter of confidentiality, once we close the cameras, I can tell you.
All right.
Unfortunately, I was part of the 2013 team. Helps?
I really hope the European doesn't collapse. Hopefully that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I suppose I don't know. Can you add anything? Yeah, hopefully not. It's not going to happen. But
It won't.
No.
I mean,
survive Brexit. It can carry on going. It's doing pretty well.
Exactly. Brexit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They didn't even break
It's one example.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere, every day.
Yeah.
It's just how close it is to you, to us. I mean, here.
I think we're going to be put pressure on to wrap something up. But thank you everyone for coming. That's been really kind of you to come and ask your questions, and I hope that was really helpful.